We have a lot to share with you. I'm excited in a few minutes to introduce you to our key speakers tonight. But before we do that, as usual, I want to do our little bit of housekeeping. So be sure that after you've announced yourselves, that you go ahead and mute yourselves out, because remember that while we will be muting out the lines for recording purposes, it doesn't necessarily mute you out from one phone to another. So either *6 your personal line or use your personal phone mute button. And as usual, our calls are all recorded on facebook.com/XANGO University. If you go to the Facebook page and hit the Notes tab, you will find all the calls that we have done recorded there that you can use to either post or send out to people or have people listen to, as well as if you are a member of XANGO University, you can go into your back office. But anybody can access Facebook, and anybody can use the calls any way that helps them in building their business and in sharing information. Also, remember that you can, up in the upper left-hand corner, if you have questions throughout the evening or want to have us address something, put your questions up there, and you can make your screen larger, of course, by hitting the block on the upper right-hand side. So, with that, in the chat box, too, we try to answer whatever might come up in the chat box. So with that, tonight, I want to thank Tom and Carol Ferrier. They are doing our webinar for us tonight and recording. So thank you, Tom and Carol. I really appreciate that. Ed and Sandy Cohen are in Philly. So we're pleased to have Tom and Carol do this for us. So with that, Tom, if you would go ahead, I want to get started. So if you would go ahead and begin the recording, I'd appreciate it.
We are ready, Carolyn. Go ahead.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, well, I'd like to take a moment to introduce my co-host and business partner and friend, Jim Webb, 200K. Known Jim for 13 years. We've worked together. We've built business together. And I can tell you that I've been honored to work with both Jim and Candy, as they were experts in the business long before I came into the network marketing scene, and I was very fortunate to learn from them. So, Jim, I'm honored to be co-hosting this call with you, and if you'd like to say a few words, we would love to hear from you. Jim, are you there? Did I lose him? I heard him a minute ago. Hello, Jim? Well, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go on. Maybe we lost him, and he'll come back on, and we'll catch him at the end. But if you can hear me, John and Gina Jurewicz, are you on the line?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Well, thank you. Welcome. I'm really excited that John and Gina have agreed to speak with us tonight, because they do a very important call for us, and it has been weekly, I believe, every Tuesday night. But what they do is share with us and remind us the importance of sharing what we experience from the products that we use on a very personal basis. Not a basis that says this is what will happen for anybody that uses the products, but I think sometimes we forget how powerful our own personal stories are. And John and Gina have been amazing at sharing with the XANGO Nation and guests that come on the line with us just how important it is. So, John and Gina, whoever is going to be doing the speaking first, I never thought to ask you that, but I want to welcome you to the call and thank you for taking the time to speak to us tonight.
Well, Carolyn, we want to thank you also for having us on the call, and thanks for doing these calls. These calls are like a battery charger, and when people plug into them each week, that extra energy to go through the next week and work toward growing their business.
I agree, 100%. Thank you.
So just tell people a quick background on us. We've been with XANGO coming up on 12 years. I used to be a mechanic. Gina used to be a hairstylist. And because of situations with the jobs, we were looking for finding a different way to create income. And XANGO fell into our laps, and we, started using the products, and of course we fell in love with the products. And, we had a skill we had to learn that everybody has to learn, that you continue to learn as you grow this business. You never stop. But we, kept hearing facts tell and stories sell. Facts tell and stories sell. So we never get tired of hearing people's XANGO stories, because those stories keep us and other people motivated to keep moving, because we know we've got something special here that needs to be told to other people. And, it's a storyteller's business. And, we've listened to lots of CDs and lots of training, and earlier today you were talking about Bob Schmidt, and he always says it's a storyteller's business. And so you need to become a product of the product or products, so that you can share your experience with people that you know, or maybe people that you meet. And just to, we're going to share some stories on here. So before we even get into any of the stories I'm going to share, I want to do a disclaimer. So the information that you hear is for educational purposes only. The products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent diseases, and all that fun stuff that we have to do disclaimers on, so that we keep everything legal and clean. But I'm going to just tell you a quick experience that I had and how important stories are. And it's very important to be alert to those around you, because we used to go back and forth to Arizona quite often, and we do. And it's hard to talk about something you haven't experienced yourself, but when you do experience something, it's hard to keep it quiet. Because I had a really good experience with tennis elbow, because I used to be a mechanic and repetitive injury. I thought the pain was never going to go away. Anyways, I'm at the airport once. We were going back and forth from Chicago to Phoenix, and there was a lady at the drinking fountain. I was getting a water bottle, getting ready to be filled up there, and she's got a strap around her arm. And I know what that strap means. It means she's got tennis elbow. So I started up a conversation. It's like, you've got tennis elbow, don't you? It's like, yeah. And it's like, what are you doing for it? And she told me. I'm sitting there, how's that working? And of course, not really good. It's like, well, I found something that worked really well for it. And I started to explain my story, and I told her about XANGO. And she goes, I've already tried it. And I go, you've already tried it? You didn't get results? And I go, how much did you use? And she goes, well, I used 2 bottles, and I didn't get results. Like, well, that's the issue. You need to try it for about 90 days and be consistent with it. So I gave her some information on it, and followed up with her after we got settled in. And sure enough, she started using the products. She got results, shared it with some other people. And to this day, I mean, this was years and years back, to this day, she still uses the product because she gets benefits. And we built a good relationship, and she likes gardening, and of course it was preventing her from doing the gardening things. So facts tell, stories sell. You got to share your story, because that's what's going to make people pique their interest to be interested in what's going on.
Yes, and John, I just want to jump right in here, what you said about her being on the juice all these years. I think sometimes we take the juice so for granted in our other products that we forget the amazing things that the products have done for lots of different people. And sometimes it's just a matter of looking in your back office and going, oh, wow.
Right. I mean, how many years have they been using it? Amazing. They're getting results. Exactly. I've heard some people that they're afraid not to use it because they don't want to get sick. So exactly. That's just where it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to share some stories from some other people. And, when you're going to share your story, if someone has an issue with something, like, Pat had the issue with her tennis elbow, but if someone has an issue with something that you haven't had a benefit, but you know someone who has, you don't want to share their story, but what you can say to your prospect is, there's someone I feel you would really benefit from talking to about this. Why don't we set up a time where we can all get together? They have an experience, I believe, that would greatly benefit you from hearing about it. And then you set up the call with them, because they're going to connect better with that other person that's got a same issue, and they can explain it themselves. So, we usually give someone some literature, some information, and that's great, but it's the stories that really make the difference. So at this time, I'd like to introduce a guest that's on the call. we've got Skip from Ohio, and he's got a great story to share. Skip, are you with us?
I am with you.
Okay, fantastic. So just as a quick review on XANGO juice, we know that the key benefits is it supports cardiovascular health, supports cartilage and joint function, maintains intestinal health, promotes a healthy seasonal respiratory system, promotes a healthy metabolism, supports the immune system, and neutralizes free radicals. Wow, that's a lot, all from one fruit. And of course, it's substantiated by an 8-week clinical study where XANGO juice demonstrated an ability to reduce CRP levels, and that's an indication for cardiovascular health, while a placebo group actually had theirs go up. So there's concrete, evidence behind this, and of course, if you go on PubMed, the National Library of Medicine, and type in mangosteen, the numbers of studies and papers just continues to go up. So Skip, why don't you tell us the reason why you use XANGO, and you've been using it for so many years?
Okay, I'd be glad to. A little background. I became addicted to heroin while I was serving in Vietnam, and the heroin there was 98% pure, so it was impossible to shoot it like Janis Joplin. She died on 4% pure while I was over in Vietnam, but so it could only be smoked or snorted, and if you wanted to get the fastest high, you'd snort it, so that was an easy choice to make. But while doing so, that drug ate up my lower sinus cavities so badly they were all scabbed up, and it was difficult to breathe. That finally cleared up, and but upon coming home, started having sinus issues a little bit at a time, and living in Ohio, it's kind of a sinus haven anyway, but they began to grow worse over the years. It led to having 3 sinus surgeries, and they just never seemed to help. Nothing seemed to help. I took everything in the world to try to help the sinus conditions, and nothing worked. So I was not experiencing that healthy seasonal respiratory condition that XANGO talks about. But I was told about this XANGO juice through a desire to have a home-based business. And I discovered while working with my doctor that my sinus infections decreased from every 7 weeks to now I've had 3 in 7 years. And my doctor and I were really excited about that, mostly because I had exhausted all but one antibiotic that worked. And she was pretty concerned about what our next move was. And so she was so excited about this, she wrote me a prescription and told me don't ever stop. And now I don't know that it would work like that for everyone, because all of us have different quirks in our systems, but that worked for me. It was a terrific discovery, and I'm so, that's why the juice is my #1 favorite.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that. And then you were telling me there's another product that you really enjoy here, Ignite. And just to give everybody a little background on that in case they're not familiar with it, it combines premium ingredients to help your blood vessels relax and dilate, delivering critical nutrients and oxygen for peak performance for your muscles and tissues and organs. Enhanced oxygen circulation allows for increased performance and focus, keeping you physically sharp and mentally where you need to be. So it's formulated with L-arginine, which encourages optimal body oxygen circulation, aiding mental acuity and endurance. So, Skip, you started using this product, and I know you were working with your doctor on this one also, so why don't you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, this one was exciting as well. For several years I had experienced a steady average in my blood pressure of about 145/75, nothing really deadly, but higher than my doctor liked it to be for a steady average. So she explained to me that I was just one of those people that no matter what I did, I run a mile every morning and my diet's pretty good. And she said, well, those things won't matter because just the makeup of your system, you'll always have to take a blood pressure medication because it's always stay that way. And XANGO came out with that Ignite product, and I said, boy, that sounds like something that really might help my blood flow, maybe help my blood pressure. So I got some. I was taking a 5 milligram blood pressure pill. Doctor was monitoring me all the time. I monitor my own blood pressure because I'm a little concerned about that. And over a period of a couple months, my blood pressure started stabilizing at the 130/60 neighborhood. It's just a little less than that right now, but it hovers around the 130/60. And again, she was pretty excited about that because that's not supposed to happen with my system. And I still do my same diet and exercise, and, you know, I don't know if someone else would have that same experience either. And I've talked to others that didn't have it quite that quickly, but for me, that's one thing that really worked, and it's just not a surprise because I know the products work so well, but that one I did not expect to be just so genuine.
All right, Skip, thank you so much for sharing that with us, and I'm glad you found something that's working really well for you and you're happy with your results.
And I am.
Fantastic. Why don't we go out to Colorado? Mary T., are you with us?
Yes, I am.
All right, and you're coming through real good. How are you doing tonight?
Excellent, thank you.
All right, great. Well, Mary T., tell us a little about your experience. I know that you started with XANGO Juice, right?
I did, and I'd like to say that we were introduced to XANGO by John and Gina and couldn't have been more blessed. But like most people, when you're introduced to a new product, you're skeptical and what can this do for me? And so I started taking it to see, and I had issues with my sciatic nerve, which was very uncomfortable. And anybody that's had that would like relief. So after about 3 weeks, I noticed that I no longer had any more pain. And it was just amazing and life-changing for me. Now, other people might not be able to experience those results, but I couldn't have been more pleased.
Okay, and Mary T., I know that you also have been using the 365 vitamin, and I know Dr. Teltman did a great call last week on that because they're upgrading it just a little bit there, but he talked about that active defense complex, Primactive, in there, which enhances your body's natural defenses. Plus, in a double-blind study, people who took 365 had less upper respiratory infections than those who didn't. Why don't you share a little bit about what happened with you recently?
Well, we've been taking the 365 for about a little over 4 years, and during that time I had not had any upper respiratory issues. And I worked in an emergency department as a secretary, so I was exposed to a lot of different things. And we have 3 gentlemen that live in our home that are developmentally disabled and, bring home things because they're out in the community. But I had never experienced any upper respiratory issues in over 4 years. And then, unfortunately, we didn't have 365 in our home for about 10 or 12 days. And during that time, one of the guys came home with a cold, and they don't have very many filters, so coughing or sneezing, constantly, remind them to cover their mouth and stuff. But unfortunately, I did at that time, as did the rest of the house, come down with upper respiratory issues, and it was so foreign to me because I hadn't been sick in 4 years, and so I was so glad when they did show up at our doorstep, and we started in on them again, and hopefully we won't have any more glitches in the system.
Not good to run out, is it?
Pardon me?
I say it's not good to run out. It just proves that they work.
absolutely not. Yeah, I don't ever want to run out again. It's just so fun to be able to tell people, I haven't had an upper respiratory issue for over 4 years.
Amazing, amazing. Mary T., thank you very much for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
All right, so again, facts, tell, story, sell. Story, 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 stories. How do you learn stories? Well, you learn it from other people on your team, other people in XANGO. Gina's going to share just a little bit with us how to.
Yeah, John, thanks. And, stories are huge. And, the big thing is, too, is don't forget about the pictures. With Eris, the before and after pictures. I mean, the results are amazing, amazing results. And you can post that on Facebook and everything, the pictures of before and afters. And even the weight loss. There's been a lot of good weight loss stories. I lost 25 pounds on Faveo. And, you can't take anything away from a picture but the true thing. So absolutely. And with Eris being promoted this month, an excellent opportunity to take advantage of that. So yes, pictures are worth 1,000 words.
Exactly. Facts tell, stories sell, but a picture's worth 1,000 words. There was one on there, I think just this last week on Facebook, where they had like a timer next to the fellow who was putting the instant eye gel under his eyes, and they show him fanning it down, and over time, all of a sudden that bag just kind of like goes down. It's like, what could be more impactful than something like that when you're sharing Eris with somebody? Before and afters with Faveo, what could be more impactful than that? So there's a number of different avenues that you can go in sharing these stories. So, Carol, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Oh, well, thank you. So, John, maybe you could just share a couple of things again to kind of summarize what we talked about as far as the disclaimers and understanding that while our story is powerful and it helps other people, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get the same result. And in fact, so many get results that some of us don't get.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of how the business grew, because someone was going to try the product so they wanted a result. Here, it's like, well, I didn't notice that, but you know what I did notice? I mean, have you ever had that happen?
Exactly. I've had people say that they didn't notice, maybe they went on the juice as an example because they had arthritis pain, and they'd been on it for a month or so, and they hadn't really seen results that they maybe in their minds thought they should have in that amount of time, and well, maybe I'll just stop taking it, and instead of getting defensive, just kind of keep talking and start sharing other things that have happened, like better sleep, a little more energy, and then they just kind of go, well, as a matter of fact, now that you say that, so...
Exactly. I can remember once when we were at a presentation there in Arizona. We had Gary, who's married to Mary T., there at the presentation, and he goes, John, I just haven't really noticed much from the products yet. And I think he'd been using it for a little over a month or whatever, and there was another distributor next to him, and he goes, well, you know what I notice? Is I notice when I get up in the morning, I just don't ache as much when I come out of bed. And sure enough, all of a sudden that, Gary remembers something that, oh my goodness, this thing in my shoulder isn't hurting me anymore. And how soon we are to forget when something gets better, because I'm guilty about it just as much as anybody else. When I first started using the products, I got good results with the upper respiratory thing, but I had terrible tennis elbow. And I heard all these people getting results, and it's like, I'm not getting results. And somebody from the upline goes, well, if it's hurting you that bad, why don't you go on disability, as a mechanic? And it's like, I'm only in my mid-40s, I'm not going on disability. It was a little over 3 months later, and he goes to me, John, I haven't heard you mention too much about your arm lately. How's that going? And it's like, dang it, how bad that was, and then to forget about it. So, like you said, Carolyn, talk to them about it. Don't get defensive. Just see how they're doing. Have you noticed, this? How you sleeping? How many people do you know that have taken Zalo Ageless? And the anti-aging product that XANGO makes, and they report back, oh my goodness, the sleep. You know, I hear stories, oh, my husband, I don't even hear him get up in the middle of the night. I love that product. I get a good night's sleep now. Well, you know, what price can you put on a solid good night's sleep?
Exactly. Well,
so
John and Gina, again, I so appreciate the opportunity that you provide to all of us to not only hear the stories from individuals, but to be reminded of what, like you say, we so often forget. We become so used to things that sometimes when somebody shares something new with us, we don't necessarily show the enthusiasm that we did when it was brand new, because it was brand new, and now it's like nothing surprises us. So I urge people to kind of stop and think about the stories that they hear, and as John said earlier, connecting people to the right people. Someone that has arthritis, or someone that has migraines, or someone that has something that has seen a true benefit from it, that can actually connect with somebody that you're talking to, whether it be a teammate or a family member or just a friend that you would like to try your product. Connect them with somebody else. I saw somebody, I think it was Amanda Dick the other day, reaching out on Facebook asking if anybody knew anybody that had, I believe, I think it was stage 4 liver cancer. I'm not sure. But reaching out to see if there was anybody that had something that they could share, and that's really what it's all about. Our products are phenomenal, and I also think that sometimes we think that because we don't see a difference, like I had great results with my cholesterol the first couple years I was in XANGO because I'd had high cholesterol. I don't deal with that anymore. So I don't really have any particular health issues to deal with. However, I know what the juice does, even though I can't feel it. I know it because my immune system is such that I don't ever catch colds, no matter how many times I'm on an airplane or who I'm around. And I know that those things are because I have continued to feed my body that mangosteen that is so amazing for the immune system. So I think sometimes we get a little excited and want to share what it could do for somebody, and they get so focused on that issue that, as John says, we miss many of the other little issues that are going on around us. So, John and Gina, thank you once again.
Oh, you're welcome, Carol. I just wanted to say real quick, you were asking about the guidelines. You know, if you go to XANGO.powerof3.com, under the training segment in there is a video from corporate on what you can and can't say.
Oh, good. Thanks for reminding us of that. That's XANGOpower3.com?
Yep.
Okay. We'll make sure that we put that out. And John and Gina, is there any words you would like to say to wrap up this time with us?
Well, it's the same old thing. You know, we're out there blessing people's lives with the business and with the products. And, you know, that person that you don't talk to is not going to get a result. So go out and share your story.
Thank you. Well, thank you, John, and thank you, Gina, for sharing. I would just like to say in the last few minutes that we have, I hope that those of you that were on the beginning of this call heard a very key statement John made, that 12 years ago, John was a mechanic and Gina was a hairdresser. And today, they are time and financially free because they made a decision to move into this world of XANGO and network marketing. And I so appreciate that about them because they are the story of hundreds of thousands of people in this industry. And in today's economy, nobody has to remind you or me of the unemployment situation and the low-wage situation, and this business is for anybody. I happen to have a corporate background, John a mechanic background, My friend Grace Dick, who's on the line with us, she worked in a doctor's office, and she was a stay-at-home wife. So she wanted to be at home and teach people how to build from their kitchen table. So whatever dreams we may have, whatever desires that we may have, unless we take action and we make our activities productive each and every day and have a plan in place, a goal, a business plan of some kind that we can measure ourselves from, we can't get to where we want to be. But we have lots of leaders. We have amazing leaders in this industry. And I encourage people that maybe have not yet maybe been moving in the direction that they wanted to not let that discourage you, because that was yesterday. There are several steps to take in building this business. And I always remember being taught that there are 4 phases of our business, and many of us go through all of them and get stuck in some. And that first phase is the creativity part of our business, and that's where we're excited and we're talking to people and setting appointments and bringing people into the business and training them and getting them started. And then there's the maintenance. And the maintenance is an easy area to get into. I've done it. I've been there. It's the area where we have a lot going on, so we stop recruiting, we stop building, and we build other people. And when things start going down, we still continue to maintain. The third thing that we end up doing is we end up blaming. We either blame the products, we blame the company, we blame our leaders, we blame our teammates, we blame the economy, we blame everything, when many times not taking accountability for our own actions or lack of actions. And then the final phase is quitting. And I hate to see that happen, and I can see why it does happen. It's easy because nobody's there to make you get out of bed in the morning. Nobody's there to make you pick up your phone and make that first call. Nobody's there to make you sit down and put a strategy session together. So if you truly want any kind of success, it's available, whether it's just a few hundred, a few thousand, or many thousands. It doesn't make any difference. But I love it when I hear stories from people like John and Gina, a mechanic and a hairdresser, what great jobs they had, but probably jobs that were very much dependent on the economy. Our business should be booming in a poor economy. So with that, I want to thank you and just share our promotions to remind you that this month, Eris was extended. Young in Love in February. I think it's Young, Mature, and in Love in February, or maybe just Young and Mature in February, one or the other. Anyway, it's the same as we had last month. If you'd go to the next slide, please, Tom. It is the Eris, the collagen, which, of course, is my favorite, 3 boxes for the price of 2. Last month, it was 3 boxes for the price of 2 plus $10. This month, it's just 3 for the price of 2. So order those. They're great to have. I take 2 a day. You have enough boxes, you can take 2 a day. They're great to share, great to give to family members, great opportunity to share with people with a free box. And then the Instant Eye Gel is the 3-pack where you buy 2 and get 1 free. On the collagen, you save $80. On the eye gel, you save $50. And then, of course, on the Renewal Concentrate, which I also love, it's buy 2, get 1 free, and you save $90. So just imagine that you can buy a great supply of Eris to either get started, increase what you use, and share with other people, and you can save $200 and whatever that is, $10 or $20 by simply going into the specials for the month. That's amazing to me. Then the next slide we have is, of course, our juice. The fact that they extended it, I think, is amazing. It's through the end of this month. And remember, you also, if you order it by the end of this month and get the 2 cases and save that $35 plus shipping, you can stay on these 2 cases as ADP at this price for as long as it's available. If you go on ADP and then in a couple of months stop your ADP, you cannot go back to this price. You'll go back to the regular price. So I love the 2-pack. I love I love getting the reserve, and I love saving the whatever it may be, $50 or so that you save by ordering it. So that's another great one. And then, of course, next slide is the fact that we have our ageless. Another one of my favorites. I have 3 or 4 top favorites. I have a hard time past the juice, well, and ignite and ageless, okay, whatever, deciding which were the top 3 or 4. But I love the ageless. I personally didn't have a problem with the taste of the ageless in the past because I mix it every night, actually have it here sitting in front of me with my reload and my ignite and my bone powder and a shot of juice with water. So and flavor was never an issue to me, but I believe it was to lots of people, so they have made a change in that. And I'm excited about that. And as a matter of fact, next Monday night, Dr. Fred Templeman will be our guest speaker, and he is going to talk about ageless because I think many of us may have forgotten the clinical studies, the clinical trials that were done on the ingredients in ageless and all the amazing things that ageless has to offer you. So he will be on our call next Monday night. I'm excited because I've talked to people that said that they wouldn't go on it because of the taste. Now I'm holding their feet to the fire. We've changed the taste. I think John told me earlier he loves the taste, and I haven't tried it yet. I've ordered it for next month, but please, everybody, make sure that you go back to those people and tell them it has a new taste, and get on the call next Monday night so that you can hear what new and updated information Dr. Templeman has to offer us. With that, I would just simply like to say, next slide, you know, I think this is true of just about anything in life, not just our XANGO business. But I think the only regrets we really ever have are the chances that we didn't take. And so often we have chances that we can look back on in our lives, and I had many of them, that I didn't take for whatever reason. Maybe it was the timing, maybe it was my skepticism, my lack of faith, my lack of trust in the opportunity that was put in front of me. And now I can look back as a more mature person and realize that if I'd had the ability to analyze and investigate better, that I probably would have taken several opportunities that came my way. Don't let this be an opportunity that you let pass you by. And get with somebody that can share all the reasons that you should take a really deep look and make an educated decision. And most of all, I want you to make this your best year yet. And Jim, did you ever join us, Jim Webb? Were you ever? Okay, we lost him. Anyway, you guys, make this a great week because it's part of your best year, and I can't wait to have you back on the line next week. Good night and God bless.
Thank you, Carolyn.